Thank you very much, Georgina, and congratulations on this brilliant, innovative event. And as she said, there we go, okay. In the late 1970s, I had the privilege of teaching some of the elite young women of American society in New York City on Fifth Avenue and 84th Street. It was called the Upper East Side. My subject was religion, and they weren't that interested. But they did like field trips, as we used to call them then, anything to get them out of the classroom. And so it was that I devised a plan to bring them down to one of the biggest slums in New York City at the time. It was called the Bowery section, to meet a woman fast becoming known, paradoxically, as both a living saint and a revolutionary communist, all because she had the audacity to give away all she possessed, to set up home with homeless people, to advocate on their behalf through a newspaper that she started with others, and it still only costs a penny, and to initiate a pacifist social movement that still exists today in several countries. Dorothy Day. When I first met this elegant, beautiful woman at table with people who had been homeless for years, I felt steeped in her empathy and was awed by her imagination, both of which sourced radical change in American social policy. Now, while my students left the place that day with fear and great discomfort, I had been converted. A year later, when Dorothy died, they had to close the shops on Fifth Avenue because tens of thousands of people marched to her funeral in St. Patrick's Cathedral. Those who image vividly feel deeply, said David Hume, an 18th century philosopher. Dorothy Day did both, and in exercising both of those capacities located at the heart of being human, a tidal wave of social change flowed with sustainable force that reduced homelessness throughout America. This evening, I want to tell you two stories, one old, one new, one mine, and one not mine, to proffer that the regeneration of Irish society in these dark times is dependent on each one of us imaging vividly and feeling deeply, thereby unleashing our desire to share what we have, to reconnect with the Irish ancestral memory that we are a people who share. And this is how I describe philanthropy: people sharing what they have. And I believe that we need to grow Irish philanthropy now more than ever before through a passion that generates images of the possible. Such passion, in my own experience, in witnessing and also in witnessing the work of others, is rooted above all in our capacity to be empathic, to feel where the needs are, be they social, cultural, environmental, or economic. So I am going to suggest then that each one of us has the potency to be philanthropic, and that now is the time for those in every income bracket to share what they have with long-term ambition for progressive change. Ultimately, this is an ethical act. One more voice from my country of origin confirms this. Prior to marrying Bill Gates, Melinda would discuss with him about the possibility of setting up some kind of foundation for tax-efficient reasons. But you know, Bill just didn't want to do it then, to set up one more entity that he was responsible for. Maybe he would wait till he was 60 and then do something. Then a party was held for Melinda. The year was 1993. The American women call it a bridal shower. And Bill's mother, Mary Gates, who was fighting breast cancer at the time, had written a letter to Melinda that she read to her that eve. And its essence: From those to whom much is given, much is expected. 6 months later, Mary passed away, but her message spurred the creation of the first Gates Foundation. 17 years later, they have $1 billion to share on the world's most trenchant health, education, and developmental problems in the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So yes, it is about billionaires and millionaires, but it's not just about them, and that is my message tonight. It's about all of us as we sit and wait for one of the most austere and severe budgets in Irish history, as we listen to the stories of doom and gloom. Now is the time to image vividly and feel deeply. If instead we batten down the hatches and wait for the storm to pass, actually not a bad idea for this evening, but if instead, metaphorically, we do that, we may not only lose our Irish sovereignty, but we could lose a part of our humanity as well. As Seamus Heaney prophetically reminds us, whatever is given can always be reimagined. So, my first story. Let me take you back to the Ireland of the 1980s. We were in deep recession, and the middle classes were being exhorted to tighten their belts as part of their patriotic response to the declining fortunes of the Irish economy. The dole queues grew and contained faces representing intergenerational poverty, forgotten citizens and residents who felt imprisoned in desolate environments. And government policy emptied the inner city of the undereducated and the unemployed, along with their families, into concrete housing ghettos where the residents shared common challenges that created the environment of desolation in the mid-80s, especially in West Tallaght, though in other places as well. But I want to talk about West Tallaght. 20,000 people ended up living in West Tallaght. As Anne Janaki, a local leader and resident, said, it was a place where families just ended up. It wasn't a community. Struggles included drug huts, joyriding, and antisocial behavior. Local unemployment levels ran up to 90% in different neighborhoods. Another local leader and resident, Joyce Cahill, said, as a community, we were all the same. We had no belief in ourselves. We all struggled to survive and all had the same fears. Well, it was during this period as well that my life partner, Anne Louise Gilligan, and I, she's here with us this evening too, we're looking, that's a few years ago, we're looking for a home and a bit of property out of which we could set up a small educational venture because of our belief that education is the key to eradicating poverty. And Louise had a semi-detached in Drumcondra, and she had also inherited a small sum of money from her parents, Arthur and Imelda, who had died too young a few years before. Arthur had been a publican and enjoyed meeting artists in his Dawson Lounge, in his Dawson Lounge, as well as the people of Wexford Street in the pub that is now called Whelan's. With these financial resources, we purchased the Shanty, a 100-year-old cedar house located just a few miles up the road from West Tallaght. We had a dream. We started small, but our dream was big. We knew that we could not do it on our own, nor did we want to. We wanted to end poverty outright. We didn't want to just put a dent in it. We started with 11 women who gathered in our sitting room, many of whom came from Tallaght, and we told them our dream. We hoped that they might consider joining us to set up a couple of courses for women in Tallaght because we could not do it on our own. They signed up, and our project was born. The courses began in our sitting room and kitchen, but the demand was so high, we needed more space. Hundreds of people from within and outside of Tallaght joined us to transform the 4-car garage that just happened to have been built at the back of our kitchen door into what we called the Muse, an educational center that hosted courses for the people of Tallaght for the next 10 years. Demand continued to grow, and thousands of people were being educated in our Muse. And so we formed another development team. The local leaders of West Tallaght worked side by side with us. South Dublin County Council provided the land and the architectural services, all of us partnering together to lobby, campaign, raise funds, and build a center of excellence called An Casan, which is now situated at the heart of West Tallaght.
State animal felice An Casáin is, if you like, the building that houses 3 operations. It houses Rainbow House, which is an early childhood education centre that offers for 40 children for free early childhood education. Our education and training centre, which is called the Shanty Education and Training Project, has over 300 adults participate in year-long education programmes. And our enterprise, we had a Weaving Dreams enterprise in handcrafted, top-of-the-range products. We are now moving into new enterprise in relation to a cottage industry for the training and development of childcare workers.
I suppose our philosophy has always been that education is the path out of poverty.
We cater for 44 children every day, and 10 of those children are direct referrals from the health board. So they're families that could be in some kind of crisis at the moment, or just need some kind of extra bit of support, either for the child or the family.
You see, I see this place as a beacon of light. An actual physical place for which the community can come to be nurtured, to be nourished, to go back out again into their families, into their homes.
Since the mid-1980s, over 12,000 women, men, and children have passed through the doors of this educational venture. West Tallaght is a vibrant community today. Systems of adult and early years education have improved. Hundreds of jobs have been created, all because thousands of people from diverse backgrounds decided to share what they have, to be philanthropic together, initiated with modest financial resources, but used strategically with long-term ambition. Our next dream is to scale it up throughout Ireland and beyond, imaging the possible once again. An Casáin, manager of Fledglings, our new social enterprise implementing a franchise model for early years centres, speaks of this upcoming strategic ambition.
It builds the foundation for primary and then secondary education. And it also ties in with our founder's principle that education is the solution to poverty. Our early years people are outstanding at what they do, at educating preschool children from 3 months up to 5 years. And that is their forte. But they are dragged down by a whole series of bureaucratic problems, and that's where we come in. Well, we've 3 services opened since September 2008, 2 more this month. We're planning our 6th probably in January. So we think it has national potential and it possibly has international potential. But to see the progress we've made in the last 3 years, it is so fulfilling. It's the most fulfilling thing I've done in the last 40 years.
And Tara has just recently won one of the top awards from Social Entrepreneurs Ireland. There's another story I want to place before you tonight. A remarkable narrative just beginning to unfold during another Irish recession with echoes of previous patriotic calls. It's the story of Cathal and Danielle Ryan, and I'm delighted to say Danielle is with us this evening as well with her partner Richard. Father and daughter, both having made decisions to share what they have, partnering with others in a most imaginative way so that Ireland's cultural and artistic heritage can play a central part in the reinvention of our prosperity and to stem the tide of emigration of our young performing artists. Cathal Ryan was a pilot, philanthropist, and businessman, and he worked with Ryanair, which was founded by his father, Tony Ryan. Upon the premature death of Cathal Ryan, a trust was established at his wishes and in his name to promote the arts, among other things. And it was Danielle Ryan, his extraordinarily creative, passionate, and empathic daughter, that has spearheaded the beginning of a dream with international ambition. As a young woman, she wanted to go to drama school and was fortunate enough to get accepted into the prestigious conservatory program at RADA, the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts in London, where today they take only 28 young people out of the 3,000 who audition. But she said back then, why can't I do something like this in Ireland? Why do we have to go to London to get the best? And as she said to me recently, if you train in London, that's where your contacts are. It's very tough to break into the field in Ireland if you don't know the directors, the professors, and the producers. After a year of intensive listening and research, Danielle Ryan and the Cathal Ryan Trust launched the Lear National Academy of the Dramatic Arts in partnership with Trinity College under the leadership of Professor Brian Singleton, he's the man on the left, a passionate champion of theater arts training, and with RADA itself providing consultancy services with its director, Edward Kemp, and he's on the right at the helm. Kemp describes their philosophy to give the young artists the training, the sensitivity, the confidence, and the courage to realize their talent, to find the sound of their own voice in this very noisy world. And Provost John Hegarty says that the Lear is about the spirit and the soul of Ireland. And a state-of-the-art building is currently being refurbished by the Trust and is located on Pierce Street, intersecting with the Grand Canal Square, where the Academy will be an engine for the development of that area as a center of culture and urban life. Danielle's dream and ambition is that it will be a world-class training establishment, attracting the talented regardless of educational background or social circumstance. And auditions will take place this January for its first intake of students in September 2011. So let's listen to her sketch this dream.
My father always described Ireland to me as the land of the poets. How very right he was. Of all things Irish, it is this, our unique culture, that makes us most interesting. The arts are our roots and our fibre. My late father, Cathal, reminded me of this many times in my life. Inspired by his words, I went to study at RADA in London. It was that school, RADA, that stirred in him an ambition to create an Academy of Theatre for Ireland. We would have our own. He decided to create an academy that would stand alongside the greats, RADA, the Juilliard, Lecoq, a challenge which made him determined and excited. I believe in the abundance of talent in this country, and I believe they will make us proud. I stand here very excited by possibility and very humbled by the people that I've met. And as my father would say, okay then, get on with it.
Yes, so let's get on with it. Wise words for each one of us. Image vividly. Feel deeply. Reimagine what has been given. Aim high. Be strategic. From those to whom much is given, much is expected. Be philanthropic together. Follow your dream. Share what you have. Then, and only then, will we turn the tide and grow a lasting Irish prosperity for everyone.